On this week's episode, I hold this piece of metal, I hold this rusty piece of metal, I turn this into this, and the GTR gets taken away. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 15 of the GTR restoration build. It's pretty crazy that we're already on part 15, but we're moving right along. So if you guys would have seen in the last episode, we actually went ahead and cleaned up this entire floor of the car as well as all the components that lied underneath it. Now comes the point where I'm just welding everything back in its place. So obviously we got the epoxy primer on there, and then all of the copper stuff is weld through primer. You guys know this by now. Just a matter of getting everything in its position and tossing some welds down. Now I know some of you guys out there are already thinking to yourselves, man, this guy is going way too overboard for this car and just doing stuff that isn't even necessary. I beg to differ. So for me personally, if I'm going to be going ahead and restoring this car, I'm not going to be leaving things behind. I don't want to do this thing and then think to myself after it's all said and done and just know that there's rust in places, whether it's a large amount, whether it's a small amount, that I could have fixed but didn't. That's going to really eat away at me. And I know that's really being finicky, but it's just the way I am. You know, I'm really picky about how things are done, and if I'm going and restoring a vehicle and cleaning up all the rust, well, I'm going to go ahead and clean up all the rust. So as you guys can see, we actually got this big old piece back in its position, and I just use a bunch of self-tappers to light it up and get it in its spot, considering it's a pretty large piece and it's not really, I just couldn't clamp it down. So the self-tappers worked out really well. So with my pieces in place, I'm just going to go ahead now and start dressing and cleaning up all these welds. Most of the stuff that you guys are seeing me weld in isn't final welded. I'm just kind of welding it up enough and then moving on to the next thing just so I can kind of keep things rolling. And I'll kind of have a welding frenzy session at the end of the build and just weld up everything that I missed. That way I can just kind of keep on rolling and keep making progress. So as you guys can see now, we are working on that little floor piece that I actually rebuilt and we remade in the last episode. So we got that thing back in place, welding up nice and slow to keep that heat down and keep the distortion away. And it came out looking really good. Obviously, you know, the goal here is to do repairs and to dress them and finish them up to look as if nothing has happened. So I think I'm doing a pretty okay job of that so far. So like I said, and nothing that you're seeing is a final product. So again, everything should look a whole lot better, even though I think it looks pretty good so far as it sits. So now we're coming to the point where we're rebuilding the inner rocker structure, made up of two pieces. As you guys can see, the first piece here got it all spot welded in and tied into the rest of the car. Now the second piece, much larger, has a lot of tie-in pieces, which you guys can now see are all welded up, which is really satisfying to see considering what we started with. Yeah, we definitely made quite a big improvement. Now I would like to get myself a little dimple die kit, I believe that's what they're called, and go ahead and recreate those holes, those little dimple dies that you guys saw on that panel. I think that'd be really cool just to go ahead and recreate that, but for another day. Went ahead and we created this piece as well. As you guys probably remember from the other side, we also had to recreate the same piece, and it came out looking sweet. So obviously, again, just tacked in. Still have a bit of welding to do, but don't worry. We're moving really quickly with this video. So now this piece is time to go in, and all these pieces are recreated as they were from original. So everything ties in exactly how it tied in from factory, which is great. It just means everything lines up, everything works, and everything looks really clean. So here we go. This piece is now welded back in. As you guys can see, just tossed in a little bit of a bead roll just because I found out that that's what it's supposed to look like. So my bead rolled skill was not perfect, but again, that was like my second time using the bead roller, and it came out okay. It's not like a visual thing. You're never ever gonna see that part of the car ever again, so I'm not too worried about it. Moving along, now time to recreate this piece here. Obviously not gonna be a reuse, not much that's savable, but we are gonna save what is savable. So first task of the matter is to recreate this back portion. It is separate, as you guys saw. I just separated it from the rest of it and created a little tape template, transfer that over to metal, and I then came up with these two pieces here. This piece in general was pretty tricky, just a weird combination of bends and stuff like that, but a bit of hammer and dolly work, and was able to get it fitting up pretty good. So in a second here, I'm about to be getting my first experience of measuring twice and cutting once. Make sure you guys do that. You never want to cut twice. So here I am, just a minor introduction to that fact. Just one little spot weld, no big deal, and we fixed that. Got it looking absolutely sweet. So that piece is done, ready for the next. Well, it's not done, but you guys get what I'm saying. We're moving on to the next piece, and this is the spot where I learned my lesson pretty good. So before I continue, if I could just ask you guys of a quick favor, if you have been enjoying the GTR video series, drop a like. That'd be really cool. And then also, if you have not yet done so, subscribe. Got a lot of cool stuff on the way. At least I think so. So with the first piece all bent up, I just went ahead and tossed in this ruler here just to act as a straight edge and a guide. That way all my pieces line up just as they should. Now what you guys are about to see next is a perfect example of why you should always measure twice and cut once. So looking at it first glance, all appears to be good, but then you take a look at this back area here and it's all wrong. So clearly there's an issue there. So we just took our straight edge and the issue is pretty apparent. So it should stay level, but as you can see, it creates a little bit of an air gap there, which means that this little spot right here is a bit high. So all that work for, I wouldn't say nothing, but we had to chop it all apart. All that welding was for nothing. So now is a matter of making sure I get this fitting up as it should without any fitment issues. So we go ahead and clamp the two pieces together, and then I just went ahead and tossed this cut off of the quarter panel back in place just to make sure that it has a happy place to sit and all fits up and lines up as it should. Obviously it's a little bit mangled, but it'll still give me a good reference. So that all got welded back together, taken care of, and it's all looking much better and fitting up much nicer, as you guys can see. Looking great, looking brand new. Now this piece still does require a little bit of work, but I tell you what, it's a far upgrade from what we started with. So the final repair for today, you guys can see this little stud here is pretty stripped. Not too sure why, but we went ahead, removed it, and I welded ourselves in a new stud. Has all of its threads, which is always a positive. And here's a completely out of context clip of me putting this random piece on. Well, I sure put in a lot of work at this spot right here, but it's time for the next spot. I gotta say, this is by far actually, the sketchiest thing I've ever done when it comes to transporting a vehicle. U-Haul, I really hope you are not watching, because I'm sure you wouldn't be too pleased. Maybe you'd get a kick out of it, honestly. It's pretty creative, and I'm glad it worked. Well, I haven't made it there yet, but I'm close. I'm close. This is the worst part of the journey, though. This road is super bumpy. But I'm excited, man. This is a big moment. This is a big moment. I'm gonna finally be able to get some progress made on the GTR again. It's been months and months since I've even touched it. I'm just at the point where I'm ready to get it off the rotisserie. Let's start making progress on this thing, man. Get the quarter panels in place, get the rockers replaced, and the frame rails replaced even more. So let's get to the shop. I'm gonna keep on focusing driving. Luckily, this road is very quiet, but very bumpy. So I'll catch you guys up when we make it. I am biting my fingernails, though. Let me tell you what, it's a bit nerve-wracking. Wow, it's nice to see this thing in here. What can I say? Things are starting to get pretty exciting. So the way I went ahead and started this build, I basically have just been focusing on all the really small, small minor little things on the car that need addressing, all the little details, and yeah, the smaller jobs basically. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you guys have been enjoying the content so far, I can guarantee you guys are gonna be blown away with the content that's to come. I'm really excited to share all the stuff that I have piled up for you guys, and it's just such a cool build, and I'm really happy that you guys are here. First of all, if you made it this far, that's freaking awesome. I really do appreciate you. But yeah, this is something special, and hopefully you guys can share it with your friends and stuff like that. That would be really cool, and we can yeah, get some more people aware and hopefully inspire some more people, which is what it's all about, man. You know, just go out there and try something. That's literally how I got into this position. That's how I built this car. That's how I built my 240, and that's how I'm building my GTR. I'm just trying things, figuring out, learning as I go, making some mistakes, and if I do make mistakes, you fix them, correct them, and you learn from them. You know what they say is, how you do something is how you do everything. So whether I'm fixing a tiny little spot on the belly of the car that has little to no rust, well, just goes to show you how much care I'm putting into the rest of the car. So hopefully you guys see it. It's I'm cutting out a lot of content. I really don't know how to. I really would love to show everything, but man, it just doesn't make the best watchable stuff too entertaining. Obviously, you guys can probably understand. But I don't know, maybe either I get a Patreon, which I do have a Patreon, I just don't promote it very much, which I should. If you guys want, it's down below. I do have to kind of change some settings and get myself figured out and how I want to operate all of that. But if you do join, don't expect me to be posting on there very often, at least not yet, but maybe soon. But if you guys have any other ideas as far as what I should do with all the content, I mean, I just have hours and hours and hours that I just cut out, and I don't know. Maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe you guys don't even care. I'll just keep that for my personal collection. But that's going to be it. Sorry for the long outro. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week for another GTR restoration video. P says bye. All right, guys. Later.